Welcome to the Sweet Life Coaching Podcast, connecting real people with expert advice to achieve a healthier lifestyle and live a more fulfilling and abundant life. Here is your host, Coach Tavia.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sweet Life Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Tavia, and welcome today to another amazing episode. I think it's amazing anyways, because I have an amazing person with me. You know, everybody that I bring on is amazing, but this is someone's very special, dear to my heart. Say hello to Miss Angela Derrick. Hello, Ange.
Hey, it's good to be here. Thanks for letting me join you today.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to have you on. You and I have talked obviously about many things, and we met through the Health Coach Institute, our school, but I want to give everybody a brief synopsis about who you are and why we're talking today and why they want or why they should be listening to the rest of this episode. But Angela, Ange, you're a fat loss expert. Angela is also she helps lose that stubborn body fat that people are so desiring to get rid of.
Oh, yes.
She understands the best weight loss plan is the one you're able to stick with, which is why she's built her philosophy around flexible dieting and food freedom. And we're going to talk about that. Flexible dieting. What the heck is that? She is the founder of Fit Life Coaching. She teaches her private clients the truth about nutrition and fat loss and helps them craft personalized plans to reach their goals based on their body and lifestyle. Yay! Furthermore, she's a certified nutrition coach, a health coach, a former NPC bikini competitor. Whoa. And when she's not doing all that, she's also a wife, a mom of two, which means when she's not hitting the gym, she's planning her next delicious meal for the week. Helping clients smash their goals. She is a busy mom, and I am so excited that you took some time out today to join me. So again, welcome.
Absolutely. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So let's dive right in. And one of the reason why I brought you on today is because, one, you and I, we've known each other for a couple of years now. Crazy, huh? Yep. 2 years in April. Like I said, to everybody that's listening out there, we met at the Health Coach Institute. We both were in the schooling. Anyways, that's a whole nother story in itself for another time, how we met and stuff, but I'm so happy we met, and, God works in mysterious ways. Long story short, here you are rocking your business about 2 years later. And, tell me a little bit about your business. Tell me how that's going. Just tell me a little bit about how that's going in the last 2 years, how that's taken off and where you're at today.
Sure. Well, I transitioned actually out of a radio career into wanting to coach people for weight loss because I had done so much in my hobbies, being an amateur NPC bikini competitor and just being such a fitness enthusiast and being in the gym and stuff. And I also had my own personal story of going through multiple pregnancies and even gaining 100 pounds in one of those pregnancies. And then having to figure out how on earth do I get back? How do I not just get back to what I knew is my body, but how do I make it better? And how do I make this something that I can sustain and I can keep forever instead of constantly on this crazy dieting cycle? Because I just want to live my life too. And I was in this obsessive place of, I want to figure out how I can enjoy my life and live my life and enjoy the food I eat and not be restricted all the time, but also be able to maintain the body that I want to have as well. Because to me, the reason I got into bodybuilding was partly because I wanted to be able to eat whatever I wanted all the time. And I figured out really fast, muscle is what makes you able to eat a lot of calories. So the more muscle I have on me, the more I'm going to be able to eat. And so in my head, it was like a bank account. I'm like, well, if I have more money in the bank, more calories than I need, and I have more muscle on me, then I got to eat more. So that sounds good. And then the second reason I got into it was because I kind of saw my body as my personal expression, like my best accessory, like a purse or something that expressed who I am as a person. Right. And so I always wanted to have a body that showed that I worked out and that I was really proud of and that I felt really good in. But at the same time, I wanted to enjoy eating and enjoy my life. So it really was an obsession to figure out how do you balance those two things? And when I competed and I went into bodybuilding and I actually got into that community and started doing what they do, that was really rough. It was really brutal because number one, I learned how much time and energy it takes to put on muscle and to build muscle. And that's a whole different topic in and of itself.
Right.
But then I also discovered how awful it is to do those diets and to diet down and to look the way that they have to look on stage for a muscle contest. And it was really brutal. I went through 3 competitions in 1 year and it completely wrecked my metabolism. And which is a lot of competitions, especially as long as I was dieting over 8 months, which is a no-no. Now that I know what I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that to myself. But the last show, my big thing was I wanted to place, and I spent a lot of money. So I wanted to actually place and win something. And I did in my last show, but I completely lost the ability to menstruate and things like that. So I had no periods, and I had a lot in my body had changed. And that's, a sign that you're just either too lean, which you can't maintain that long-term.
Right.
That's like you maintain that you get down there for a day. That's all that you're really supposed to do. But the diet was brutal. And I mean, now that I look back, it was, you were actually going through practices of starvation, where you would just sit at night. I remember sitting in bed with food magazines, and I was just perusing recipes and fantasizing about making food. And I had these weird habits around eating that I would do because I didn't have very much that I could eat. And so, and very, very picky about, I had no variety. I ate the same thing. I was only allowed to eat certain things in order to compete for the show. And this is all things I was learning because I'm an amateur. I wasn't a seasoned pro at any of this yet. And I started to do these weird rituals around eating so that I could try to enjoy it more because I had so little food that I was allowed to eat. And now, knowing what I know, that's actually all signs of very severe starvation in human behavior. Once you get to a certain point, you'll start to do these crazy things because you're literally starving. Your body is literally starving. And you start to develop these very weird, it wasn't weird to me because all of us were doing it. We were all competing. I was on a team and we were all doing it. And so we were all joking about, what magazine did you look at last night? What recipes are you looking at? Oh, I know, mac and cheese. I love looking at those recipes, And this is important because in my last show, this is kind of where something changed in me. Got on stage. I did the thing. I got the trophy, and I didn't feel proud.
Yeah.
I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel proud at all. And then I just, no, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with my body. I wasn't happy with anything. I thought if I do the competing, I'm going to have the body and then I'm going to figure out how to keep it. And that'll make me happy. And none of those things happened. And then we went out to eat, and I had a friend with me who came to the show, and all I wanted to do is just binge on pizza. That's all. It's all anyone did. All they were talking about backstage was when the show was finished, what they were going to eat and what pizza they were going to order. That's all they were talking about. And everybody. And you feel like you kind of earn the right to eat that pizza after doing what you've done, eating what you've eaten and exercising the way you have. But I sat there and I'm like, I didn't spend, tens of thousands of dollars to get on stage, get a trophy so I could eat pizza.
Right.
Isn't
that crazy?
I could eat pizza anytime I want. Why did I spend all this money for this? Yeah. So that's when I was kind of like, I don't want to compete. I don't want this. I want to figure out how I can just look great all the time and still be able to eat pizza and not have to do this to myself, because I don't like staring at food magazines every night and dreaming of the day I'm allowed to eat again. Right. I don't like, because that's going into some very disordered activities that I just don't. I love eating. I want to enjoy eating. I want to have freedom, in my life. It's really important to me. Yeah. So,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, I started off telling you how I got into this, but this backstory I feel like is really central to why I'm here today.
Oh my God. No, this is great.
Yeah, because, as I was working in radio and everything, this was all stuff I was doing on the side as an amateur, and they would make fun of me too. One year they gave me broccoli with candles stuck inside of it on my birthday because I was dieting for a show.
Not
that
funny,
was the
guys. I
birthday
want
cake
cake.
to me.
Give me the cake.
And it was funny. And then there was the time they actually had birthday cake celebrating somebody else, and I wasn't allowed to eat it because I was eating. And I literally went into the trash and dug it out of the trash. There was one piece left that someone threw away. I literally went into the trash and got the piece out, ate it in a crazy binge. And then I called up my trainer crying. I'm like, I ate the cake. And
Oh my gosh.
The show. Oh my gosh, I ate the cake. And I was beside myself thinking, I just ruined my show. I just ruined it. And my trainer laughed. He was like, you need a life. You need a life. You need more excitement and adventure in your life. This is what you're doing.
Wow.
So, I mean, I've been there and I've done the extreme of it. And so when I decided I no longer want to do radio anymore, I was like, what else am I going to be so passionate about? And I realized that, this is something I'm passionate about. Fat loss. We all want to lose fat. We all want to look good in our clothes. We want to feel good in our bodies.
Yeah.
But there is a better way than doing what a lot of women like myself have done. And that's either starved themselves on a crazy diet, done something like a competition, thinking that would make them happy, done some extreme measure. And now that I've been where I've been through the 2 pregnancies, through the competing and everything, I know absolutely what works and what doesn't work. And if I ever wanted to compete again, which I've thought about at times, it would look completely different, different than what I did to myself in those early days.
Right. Yeah. No. So let me stop you there for right now, for a second here. You hit on a lot of points that I think a lot of listeners out there could relate to, from just, going from, well, first of all, I love the saying, when another coach shared this is your mess became your message. And your passion, became your purpose. And things shifted for you. You had a pivotal point at some point where you're like, this isn't what the life I want to live. Obviously you were doing the radio show, you were doing the, bikini competitions. You had a sense of fitness, you had a sense of nutrition and stuff, but it was not quite right. Let's just say it wasn't quite right with the nutritional part of it. And it wasn't necessarily, it didn't make sense overall.
It wasn't sustainable.
And it wasn't, it
was not sustainable.
Right. And so you basically said a switch, turned on inside of you and said, something's got to change here. Something's kind of got to do something different here. And so was it because of that experience you went through the bodybuilding that you decided, I want to take this and to the world, and you became a health coach and a fitness coach? And is that what happened with you? Is that you kind of like, I want to do something differently here? And then that's when you became a macro coach and all stuff. Is that would you say that was your mindset shift right there? Is that what your pivotal point or turning point for you was?
There's been a series of pivotal points for me because every journey is like that, right? Where we have a shift and then we realize this is not the way, and you figure something else out. And then you have another shift and you have another challenge come at you and you say, this is not the way. So, in that moment, I was in my, let's see, when I did my last show, I was 30 years old. I think. No, 29. I was 29.
Yeah. 29.
So okay. So I was like, I was leaving my 20s. I was chasing that really hot 20-year-old body that I never felt like I had. So I don't want to have that body, Right. And actually when I left that show, I did want to compete again. I did. I was like, well, I haven't achieved it yet.
Yeah.
And my trainer told me, well, you are going to have to spend 2.5 years putting on muscle if you're going to compete again. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. I don't know what you do that. Okay. I just felt like I can do it better. I want to do it better. So my mindset when I left competing that for that season, I was like, I do want to do it again because I just wanted to be enough.
Yeah.
This is my way of chasing I want to be enough. And then I had a very pivotal thing happen, which was called, I got pregnant. And I didn't even know I was pregnant for my first trimester.
Oh my goodness.
Because I'd lost my periods and I had no idea. So, yeah. So then when I discovered that the reason I wasn't, losing weight, trying to because that's what set up kind of that disorder for me, was that now I was always trying to be on a competition diet, and I was always trying to work out like a competitor, but you're not meant to do that year round. It destroys your body. Right. So I was under eating, over exercising, and then I wasn't losing weight, and I couldn't figure out why. And that's when I found out I was pregnant, and something in there snapped, and I got angry that I wasn't my plans were being interrupted. I was angry about it. And I decided, well, then if I'm going to have to be pregnant and I'm going to have to get fat, then I'm just going to eat. Mm-hmm. So I spent a whole 9-month binge-a-thon eating and drinking whatever I wanted to, which is how I ended up gaining that 100 pounds in pregnancy. So I went from the tiniest I've ever been and the leanest I've ever been in my life to the fattest I've ever been, well over 200 pounds.
Your poor body.
And yeah, I know. Yes, my body was really, it was wrecked. Yeah, but I mean, it's been incredibly resilient for me. Yeah. Because it's never given me problems, but it was just a big change. And so a year later, I'm 200 pounds and I'm having a baby, and I look nothing like I looked. And that also was a pivotal moment, because somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew I was going to get back into shape somehow, some way, somewhere. I didn't know when or how. I just kind of knew, well, I know this isn't going to be forever, but this is for right now. And that was my choice. And it took me until my oldest daughter was 18 months for me to finally say, okay, I think I'm ready to try to lose weight again. And the first thing that came into my brain was those competition, how competitors do it. Right. And that was a pivotal moment for me, because I was like, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way. I can't do that again. Plus, I'm a mom. Like, I don't have time to spend 3 hours, 3 times a day doing cardio and lifting weights. And like, there has to be a better way. So I started to research, and I just knew somebody has come up with something. There's got to be somebody out there who's come up with some way that I can do things differently and make this more efficient. I actually did stumble upon other coaches and other people who I follow to this day as mentors, who found a better way and taught me how to train in 20 minutes and lift heavy and do everything differently and do less cardio, and got into metabolic training and different ways of eating. And all of a sudden I was like, this I can do. So that's where the second pivot was, where I lost all the fat again. And the way I lost all the fat again was through not doing what I did for the show, but the complete opposite in so many respects. Yeah. And I ate more, and I started to track macros, and I started to get into macros, and I ended up spending less time at the gym, and I ended up doing much more intense exercising, but for 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I just changed everything up because I learned different techniques, because I had to find a new way. Right. And that changed my body. That completely changed my body. Wow. And so and it was the way I wanted it to look. And I was like, what? This works. So I got so excited. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I'm spending less time in the gym. I'm eating more food. I'm doing more advanced stuff. And, I'm much more satisfied. And I actually got into better shape, which is what I wanted after my second pregnancy. And so that is when I realized that there are other ways, there are better ways. And that, I need to learn this. I really need to master this, because this challenge of losing 100 pounds, it had to be done different. It couldn't have been done the same way. Right. But then I figured out, well, if I can do this, anyone can do this. Yes. If I can do it this way, anyone can do this. And this is teachable. Right. And so I was able to combine everything that I learned in the bodybuilding. I was still working with trainers and still working with some of my bodybuilding friends and things like that. But I was able to take everything I learned from doing that and combine it with how to do it better, more efficient, how to work out differently. Yeah. And then make it something that everybody could do, which was basically me finding that marriage between being able to have the body that I wanted, but not have it be taking over my life and having still the freedom to live my life and finding that balance. So that was the beginning.
Right.
And that was the pivot. And then when I decided that I no longer want to work in radio and entertainment, and I really wanted to do something else, that was the secondary thing that has always been the drive. And it was like, well, I want to help other people, because people would come to me. How do I do this? How do I do that? Should I do keto?
Yeah.
Should I do this? Should I do that?
You're the third.
And because I know that's why I got into bodybuilding. They can gain muscle and lose fat at the drop of a hat. Like, they know how to do it. They have got it down to a science. That's how they do the shows every year. Right. And they know how to do it. And so it's like, well, if they can do it and they can systematize it and they can control everything, I can do it. Absolutely. So I've learned how to do that. And then it's like, well, then how can I help other people have that same sense of control, so they don't have to have that experience that I had, which was the disordered eating and the crazy stuff just to get the weight off and all that comes with it.
Absolutely. Wow. So you touched on, again, a couple of things that I want to back up here. And one of the key words that I really want to point out for, if anybody is listening to this and can relate, to Miss Angela, is, I think a lot of people can. And that is, and the one word that keeps popping out is that disordered eating.
Yes.
And that disordered eating as a woman. And I can remember
so common.
Yeah. And I remember going back, I was always a thin build kid growing up. And I was always tall and thin. And I remember people like, oh, put some meat on those bones, or they'd be like, oh, if you eat too much, you're going to get fat, and I remember those messages as a young woman, as a young girl, those messages. And I think those messages carry over into us as adults. They do. Yeah. And so I think I want to touch on something really big here. And that is the mindset shift that has to happen when people are making a conscious decision to lose weight. There has to be some mindset shifts there. There has to be some inner work. And, and I want to ask you, is that something that you even thought about? Or, I mean, obviously you do now, and you teach that to your clients, but way back then, when you didn't think about that kind of stuff, right? It was just like, you were like a machine. It was like, let's go. We're going, this is the plan. We're going through the competition, blah, blah, blah. But
actually, no, that mindset was a big.
Was it? Okay.
Oh, absolutely. And this was part of what attracted me to becoming a fat loss coach, is because when you're doing a bikini competition, they give you the plan, and you just eat the food and do the training. Okay. But trust me, the battle is the mind, because you want to go nuts. like I said, like fast forward back to me sitting in bed looking at food magazines. That was a coping mechanism. Wow. For you had to master your mind, because people quit. Like this is what, show me what you're made of. It was, you had to have a battle type mindset of, I am doing this, and there are zero, you had to be all in, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. You have to be all in to put yourself through that. And so, yes, actually some of the things I learned how to do and maneuver with my mind, I didn't realize at the time what I was creating and doing, but I stumbled upon things that I use today in my mindset work with my private clients and everything like that. Because number one, with the weight loss, the decision had to be made. When I competed, that was the first thing I knew. The decision had to be made. Right. What diet you do is not as important. Oh, do I do keto? Do I do intermittent fasting? Do I give up carbs? Do I go vegan? Right. That's not as important as, I am doing this come hell or high water, and I don't care what gets in my way, because the decision has been made. And this is the date that, because once I put the date on stage for when I'm going on stage, and I paid my money, and I paid a lot of money to say, this is the date, August 25th, I'm getting up on stage and I am wearing this. And if I held it up for you, I still have it. It's barely there. And I'm wearing this on August 25th. And I have paid the money, and it cost me a lot. There's no room for negotiation here. I am all in, and whatever it takes to get me on that stage in this is what I'm going to do. And that's where, that's pretty extreme. Yeah. But the extreme decision was made that my life is this now. And this is what I've decided. And there's no I burn the ships. I burn the ships. So when I find that I've got a client who says, I don't care what it takes, you tell me what to do, I'll do it. The decision's been made. They make the progress.
Right.
They make the progress. Even when things, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have setbacks. I had them. I've had them. I gained 100 pounds in pregnancy, right? Like I've had setbacks and I've had the scale go the wrong way and I've had the what's going on and I've had all those things. But like one client I'm thinking of in particular, just recently, had some other conditions going on with her as well. And everything that we were doing was the opposite of what she wanted to see happen. And we were going backwards. But she had a choice. I can either trust my coach and trust the process and keep doing what she told me to do and stick it out, even though the scale isn't telling me what I want to see. And I told her, stick it out for the whole week. Stick it out. We got to finish the week out this way. And she did. And she pushed through and she chose that I'm all in. I burned the boats. I am all in. Yeah. And by the end of the week, I got the data I needed. I said, I know exactly what's happening. This is what we got to do. And we did everything wrong. And I'm sorry, but here is what's going on. We had the data. She was relieved because she stuck it out and we had the data. We knew exactly what we had to do. And she had no doubts anymore. She's like, oh, thank you. You validated something I've known for so long because she stuck it out with the data. We could now prove this is what happens to you when you do this. This type of training doesn't work for you. Now, if you ever question ever again, you have the data, the proof, all of it. It's all documented. What you need to do, what works for your body, and we can repeat it. And then we did exactly what her body needed because she's stuck in the process. And now she's just losing like crazy because she knows exactly what she needs to do. We got her formula, right? And so it is mindset that when you burn the ships and you make that decision, the setback doesn't matter. It's not, oh, I just want to give up because I'm so frustrated. No, it's okay. How do we get through this? How do we find the way to still take the mountain? Like that's the mindset you have to have. And that's the biggest difference maker. And that's the mindset I had. And then there was also a lot of visualization because I'm an amateur that doesn't know a thing about bodybuilding. And I've got to convince my brain that I'm going to step on stage and win this thing.
Yeah.
And I know nothing. And so I knew I was going to have to sell this to myself. And so every time I got on the step mill, which was 3 times a day for an hour, so it was a lot of time to visualize. I kept visualizing. I'm on stage. I'm going through my poses. I'm doing this. I was there. I put myself there and I visualized. Every time I worked out, every time I did these things. And visualization can be huge. But the reason why I was doing that was not just to visualize. It was because I had to convince myself that I was a competitor. That was not my identity. And so, part of that mindset work that I find happens for a lot of people that sets them back is you can have the best diet plan in the world, but if your identity is not the identity of the person that you want to be, your body's going to keep pulling you back.
Absolutely.
Your mind's going to keep saying, nope, I'm fat. This is who I am. This is my comfort zone. You have to recreate an identity for yourself of me as this person. And you have to start to get to know yourself as that person. And it's not just with weight loss. It's with anything you want to achieve in life.
Sure. Yeah. And I was going to say too, like I have a client that came in my office a couple of weeks ago and she's like, I've tried every diet. Nothing works. And I'm sure you get that a lot too.
Yep.
And nothing works. I've tried keto. I've tried Atkins. I've tried Weight Watchers. I've tried, they just go on and on and on about all the diets they've tried. Obviously, there's a lot of other things that, I'm going to point out from my end, being a functional nutritional practitioner, like I'm going to dig deep and look at underlying causes, see if there's something holding them back. But the bottom line is that something will work. It will. And it can.
There's a cause and effect.
Right.
And the problem is people just don't know how actual fat loss happens. So they don't know where to go to that cause and effect, which is why to me, it's always smarter to hire a coach, which is what I did. I want this body. You know how to get there. Show me the shortcut. Show me what I don't know. You tell me what, and I trusted my coach, it's, and not just, my competitor coaches. After my second pregnancy, I hired a macros coach because I was smart by that point. I was like, I'm not doing this again. Like I know I'm not doing my own macros. I know all about them. I know I just need someone to tell me what to do because I'm not going to second guess that person.
Right.
And I hired a macro coach who was also a competitor, and she looked at my stuff, and she actually, because I was going the wrong way with even myself. I wasn't certified at that point, but I knew enough to know that I was doing the wrong thing, and I still couldn't tell myself to stop. I was still trying to restrict my eating. And as soon as she got my numbers and everything, she's like, you need to eat more. And I was like, really? And you need to eat a lot more carbs. Really? Yes. And she put me on this like high calorie diet. It was like twice what I was eating. And I was like, okay, I trust you, coach. And that's one of the big things for me that I still to this day, I take with me into my coaching, because I remember, her telling me, this is why I've set your numbers here. This is what you need to know. This is what's not working. This is how it works for real. And now that I'm a certified macro coach myself, I tell my clients these things as well, because it works. It works, but it's counterintuitive. So you don't know what you don't know. And so my default was to go back into those restrictive eating things, but restricted eating does not work. And that's where most people end up failing, because they don't understand how the fat loss process works. And so then they try all the diets. And I believe that your client did that. Weight Watchers, keto, Jenny Craig, everything, right?
Yep.
The newest one that I've gotten familiar with, it's been out for a while, was 1 meal a day diet. OMAD or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, oh, please don't stop. Please stop doing this.
Please, starvation mode. And that's something, people don't realize when you're in starvation mode, your body's in survival mode.
Well, people don't realize, and it's simple questions that people go, oh, I guess that makes sense. And that is, well, how does your body get energy without food? Mm-hmm. It doesn't.
No,
you don't have a solar panel.
Right.
Sorry. Air does not do that for you.
Right.
And so your body's only choice to get the energy it needs is to eat. And so if you were living in a house and you only got electricity or energy coming into that house 1 hour a day,
right?
What are you going to do with that hour? You got to cook, you got to clean, you got to charge your phone, you got to be on the internet. You got to do everything in that 1 hour, maybe even work. If we had rolling blackouts and you had 1 hour and that's it, that's all the electricity or energy that's coming in. It's the only time you're going to get a hot shower. Beyond that, it's just primitive, nothing. Like you're in a perpetual power outage, is nothing. You're going to start to triage what you're going to do with that hour and that electricity, right? You're going to start to say, okay, well, I'm not playing Xbox because I only have an hour. So I'm going to take my shower because I want a hot one this time. Next week or tomorrow, I may not take a hot shower, but today I'm going to. And then I'm going to make sure I cook all my food, and I'm going to charge my phones, and I'm going to do the little bit of work I got to do that I have to have the internet for until the electricity goes out again. Like you might triage your day with, you got to make the most out of that hour, right?
Right.
If you're eating 1 meal a day, then that is the only energy that your body is taking in. It's got to run your heart, your all your systems, your endocrine system and your nervous system and your circulatory system and everything happening in your body. Plus you got to think, and your brain takes up 40% of all the calories you take in. So your brain is expensive to run, and you're only giving it 1 meal. It is going to triage those calories to go to the bare minimum systems. It's going to try and become as efficient as possible. Right. And you are not going to be moving. You're not going to feel like walking. You're not going to feel like doing anything other than the bare minimum, because there is no energy. Like you're not playing, your body can't burn fat when it has zero energy coming in, because it takes energy to burn fat. Just like you're not on the Xbox if you're getting 1 hour of electricity per day. You're making sure all of your necessary systems are up and running, that you got food and water and some sort of sanitary conditions and some power to your phones. And that's it. And that's what people are perpetually doing to their bodies every time they go on this restrictive diet. And when it doesn't work, they restrict calories even more. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're doing. And this is why you're not losing weight. In fact, that will make people fatter.
Yeah. And that's absolutely. And that's the myth, if you will. Like I was talking about earlier about the, like when I was a kid and stuff, and it's like the restrictive dieting and I remember like when I was in high school and my lunch would be like, let's go get a thing of McDonald's fries. right?
Yep.
And I wouldn't have breakfast because you're in high school, right? I didn't eat breakfast. I was dancer. I didn't eat breakfast. I don't even know how I frickin' function. Let's be honest. I would
And
eat
you're
a large
growing.
French fry like for lunch with some ketchup and a Coke, and then for dinner, I'd usually eat a good dinner with mom and dad. But and I think about that, and that was fine back then. I don't know how the heck I got away with that while I was younger. Of course, could never do that now. But people still do that now, and I know people that still have come to me that eat once a day.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, they are not functioning. They are not.
And your body will adapt. So your body's amazing. Your body will become efficient and will adapt and will get used to having to do what it's got to do. But here's the thing: if it'll adapt, but it's not going to lose fat.
No, exactly.
It's not going to be able to do what you want it to do. Can you live that way? Sure, you could survive that way without dying, but you're not going. This isn't how you get ripped and lean.
No.
Bodybuilders don't do that. Bodybuilders who are ripped and lean eat 12 times a day. That's what they do, because eating food actually fires up your metabolism.
Right.
So, So it's the,
there's a difference.
People think that, well, if I was stranded on a desert island and I had no food to eat, I would clearly get like really lean. So I'm just going to do that to myself. I'm going to put myself through a simulation. Like I'm on a desert island and I can't eat, which is anorexia. It's disordered eating. And they do that to themselves. And they think, well, why am I not losing fat? Why am I not losing weight? Because your body will figure out how to take countermeasures to keep you alive.
Right.
It doesn't want to be in survival mode. It's going to do everything it can to keep you alive. You're not actually on a desert island. If you're eating one meal a day, your body will say, okay, that's enough. We can work with this.
You're right.
But it will keep you exactly the same.
Right.
Whereas a bodybuilder, and this is why I went into bodybuilding to really learn this stuff, is a bodybuilder's like, hey, every time I eat, my body fires up. So I got to eat. They're very calculated with how much, even when I was doing the competition diet, I was still eating 8 times a day. Yeah. They were just very small portions.
Right.
Too small for me. It's an extreme diet. It was chicken and rice basically, and broccoli and the first variation of it was tilapia and asparagus 6 times a day, I dry heave when I smell tilapia to this day. I can't do it. It's PTSD from that. But one goal of mine one day is to re-like tilapia, because I actually liked it before that. But you're still eating. That's the whole point, is like bodybuilders are doing these extreme restrictions, but at the same time, they're actually giving their body just barely what they need to be able to perform what they need, because they know they have to have energy in the gym. They know they still have to have some energy in order to trick the body into using fat. Right. And even then they lose muscle tone and things like that. So really it is this misunderstanding that, the only reason I'm fat is because I'm overeating. That's not true. A lot of people are overweight and carrying too much fat because they're not eating enough, and their body is in that place where they just assume food is scarce. So saving it is what your body will do, because it's triggered that response. And so I have one client who has been eating 600 calories and she's over 200 pounds and she's struggling to eat more than 600 calories right now. And it's been, okay, we've got a very, to take baby steps to get more calories in you, because until we get to 1,600 calories, your body's not going to drop fat. It's just not going to happen.
Right. I want to touch on something too about, a lot of times, people are like, oh, I just got to get back in the gym. January 1 hits, the first of the year hits, everybody's back in the gym, right? Going to lose weight. And everybody just goes, gung-ho about, going to the gym and like, I'm going to lose this weight and stuff like that. And no one really has a game plan. No, unless you have a coach, which hopefully you do, or a trainer or something. And, and the thing is I want to point out, tell people that are listening, how much is exercise and how much is eating, a factor in the weight in your body changing and the weight loss.
Sure. So let's think about this logically, right?
Yeah.
If you go to a gym, how long are you in the gym? Let's say you're really motivated. How long are you going to be spending?
Probably
an hour?
Yeah.
An hour. Okay. How long are you going to be not in the gym in your day?
The rest of the time.
23 hours.
Yeah, 23 hours.
So what you do in that 23 hours is going to be far more important than what you do in that 1 hour.
Aha.
Right?
Bingo. Right.
So which one is more important? The 1 hour of I got on the elliptical and burned 300 calories, or the I ate nutrition and fueled my body for 8 hours or more while I was awake?
Right. I love that. I didn't even think about it in that perspective. I mean, like, I know that, but I'm glad you pointed that out. No,
People always think exercise first.
I know.
Because they think that they can out exercise a bad diet. No, you can't. What are you doing in that hour? Are you an athlete? Are you doing 2-a-days? Are you an NFL player? Are you in, I mean, they're exercising for 10 hours a day. Mm-hmm. They can eat whatever they want. Yes. Right. You're not doing that.
No.
Me, I'm in the gym maybe maximum 2 hours. And that's if I'm super I'm excited to be in the gym. I love being in the gym.
Yeah.
So, 2 hours to me is like, oh, this is playtime, but that's a lot for most people. And certainly when I was competing, I was in there twice a day for that amount of time and stuff. Sure. And that's a big commitment. And even then your nutrition has to be on, because if you're in the gym a lot and you're expending a lot of energy, you have to eat more. Yes. So it's, if you look at athletes, everyone wants to have, the athlete's body these days, the abs or the arms or something like that. Well, you got to eat like an athlete then. Right. And they're eating a lot of food. In fact, athletes, their full-time job is to eat. I have friends who are power lifters. I have friends who are football players, and of course, bodybuilders and stuff. They're eating like 3,000 or more calories a day, which means they're shoveling huge amounts of food into their mouths every hour. Because they're trying to just get it all in, because their muscles need it. The more muscle you have, the more calories you need. Right. So, that's the thing is, if you're going to move a lot, or if you're doing tons of cardio, which is what most people do, is they just get on the elliptical and they don't think about their muscles at all. They're just doing cardio endlessly. Right. And you're burning maybe 200 or 300 calories. And then you're either not eating anything the rest of the day, thinking that's how you lose weight. Or you're thinking, well, it's good. I went to the gym. I can have the pizza. Well, 2 slices of pizza are going to be 1,000 calories. You only burned 300 on the elliptical, or, an extra, like a piece of muffin or something like that. So, unless you have your nutrition down, unless you know, and unless you know what you're putting in your mouth, which means tracking and being accountable on some level, not just cutting out carbs, not just eating 1 meal a day. Because if you're doing a diet where you don't know how much you're putting in your body, then you're assuming you don't know what doesn't work. You might be eating too little. You might still be eating too much because you're only eating fat and protein, and you just don't know. And so if there's no way of really knowing, am I giving my body the optimal nutrition? What are my body's numbers? What does my body need? If you're not doing that, then you're going to reach a point where it just stops working. And that's why people start up in the gym, January 1st or whatever. And then by March, they're gone.
Right.
March, April, they're gone because like they saw an initial bump in the first couple of weeks and then nothing, because their body figured it out and said, oh, we're doing this now. Okay, we'll adjust. And it takes your body 2 weeks to adjust, and nothing changed. And you get frustrated and you're like, well, why do it? So, and this is because no one's accountable. No one's tracking. No one's focusing on the nutrition and it's like a bank account, if you don't know how much money is coming in, then how do you know if you can pay your bills? Right. If you don't know how much money is coming in, then how do you do anything? On some level, even people who don't have budgets, they at least have they figure something out. They have an idea of what's coming in and what's going out. And they have, some loose way of kind of accounting for things, or you're going to lose your house and have your power turned off. And there are people that do that too, but it's the same thing. It's energy. It's like money is currency, which is energy, and food is energy. And so if you don't have a way of knowing, I have this much energy coming in, I have this much energy going out, then you have no way of knowing if you're even close to being where you need to be for fat loss, which is what people want. They say weight loss, but let's be honest, it's fat loss.
You get rid of the fat, right? And
yes, that's what you want to see happen. And that requires a very specific range to be in.
Right. Awesome. Oh my gosh, Ange, this has been amazing information. You are a you just have a world of knowledge in your brain. I don't even know how
Fat
to
loss
say it.
is my jam. I'm so excited about it.
I know, no, and you can tell how passionate you are about it, and I love it, and that's why I love you. And this is so great. So we're going to wrap it up here, and I want to first of all thank you so much for sharing everything you've shared today. But if for one of the listeners out there right now, if you're out there struggling and you're like one of those people that I've tried every diet and how is this different, or how could Angela help me? And macro tracking, I don't like to track,
Mhm.
and it is, some people don't like to track, but it does work. I can tell you it does work. What would you say to that person that's kind of having that, on the fence kind of mentality, just not sure, if this is, if they should go down that road?
I guess the question is how serious are you? Like one scale of 1 to 10, where is this a must for you?
Yeah.
Because if you're in a place where you're a level 10 and you will do anything, like we go back to burn the ships, I'll do anything to get this fat off of my body. I can't do it anymore. Okay, well, we need to start tracking so we know your numbers and get the data so we know it's not working. I won't do that. No, well, then it's not a must.
Right.
It's
Right.
I would like to have this happen as long as I'm comfortable
Right.
and I do everything the way I've been doing it.
Yeah.
And if you want a new result, you have to step up in a new way. You
Right.
can't keep doing the old things and expect a new result. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And I know that some people find tracking to be triggering and things like that. Like, oh, it triggers disordered eating. Well, it triggers things when you already have the seeds planted for chronic dieting and disordered eating. But guess what? Any diet can trigger that.
Sure.
Any diet can trigger that. You don't have to be tracking your calories to be triggered by, oh, I can't eat carbs or things like that. So, most of the people, they may not love tracking initially, but if they really want to see this weight come off and come off in the most efficient way, they buckle down, they do it.
Yeah.
And it gets easier. It gets a lot easier. Trust me. And it's not something you do the rest of your life. It's something you do when you have a goal. Like
Yeah.
if I'm saving for a vacation, I need to know how
Right.
much money is in the bank.
Right.
If I want to go to Hawaii, then I need to have a way to figure out how I'm going to get all the money saved or pay back my credit card, if I put it on a credit card, to take the trip to Hawaii. Well, it's no different with this.
Right.
So it really does come down to, how important is this? And do you want to go the most efficient way? Because without the data, you're going to spin your wheels. And without someone there to help you, show you the data, teach you. I teach people how to do this and you can do it yourself. You don't even need me eventually because it's a skill, like riding your bike.
And then once you learn, riding the bike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm accountability, but and that's always, there's always a huge piece of that. I hire a coach when I've got goals because I need the accountability, but 100%. But you can learn this for yourself, and then weighing yourself, getting on the scale isn't triggering because you know exactly what it's doing. Mm-hmm. And tracking everything isn't trigger. You know exactly what I had one client who said, I tracked everything perfectly for a week and I lost weight. And then the next week I said, it doesn't matter. And I started eating extras and it all came back again, but she knows exactly what went wrong. Like she says, you know what? I thought I could get away with it and I can't. The truth is I have to stick to these. And I was like, bingo. Now you're not like, I can't lose weight. I don't understand what's it. No, she knows exactly what she's doing wrong. Yeah. And so we can cut through the clutter and we can say, well, let's address the sabotage. Let's address that behavior because we know you can. We just need to address the mental piece that's standing in your way. But the physical piece, just like my other client I told you about, where she had to stay in process, even though the scale was going up. And I said, don't stop. I need a full week's of data so that I know exactly what's happening. And she was faithful, even though it was painful. But at the end was such relief when we could pinpoint exactly why her body was responding that way. And then we knew exactly what we had to put into place in order to get it to do the opposite. And now no problems anymore. In fact, she feels like set up, like she loves what she's doing right now because that fear, that hurdle is out of the way because she had the data.
That's amazing. You're amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, your clients are totally spoiled and
as are yours.
They're so lucky to have you. And Okay, let's wrap this up really quick. We're going to do some fun. I'm just going to ask you some random questions just to get to know you, get to know Angela real quick. And then we can, and I'll let you can share how people can contact you. So, Ange, what's your favorite color?
Oh, yellow.
Yellow. Oh, I love it.
Yellow. Yes.
Since we were talking food, what is your go-to? What's your favorite food?
Oh man, that's so hard. My favorite food's so boring now. Actually, no, it's not. Okay, wine. Is that a food?
Wine's a drink.
I love wine.
Okay, your favorite drink.
When I let myself have wine, I put it in my macros diet first.
That's awesome. Too funny. Oh my gosh. What's your favorite sport? Do you like sports?
I used to love sports. I haven't been as much into it, but baseball and football were pretty huge for me for a while.
That's awesome. And what's your dream vacation?
Okay, we're going on it. We're going on it this year.
What?
My kids aren't around, so I can talk about it.
Okay.
My dream vacation, because I've never been, I want to go to Disney. So
world or land?
World.
Yes, you got to go with Disney World. Awesome.
You've been listening to the Sweet Life Coaching Podcast. To learn more about the topics mentioned on today's show, please visit sweetcoachtavia.com.